Good evening, and welcome, alumni, parents, students, and friends, to this incredible celebration of Boston Latin School. I'm Rachel Skerritt, proud Headmaster. And it is my privilege this evening to begin by presenting the 2018 Distinguished Graduate of the Year Award. This award represents the highest distinction our school bestows upon its alumni. It is a rare honor presented to one individual each year. Before meeting our new honoree, please join me in acknowledging past recipients of this award who are with us this evening. Charles Clow, class of '60. Philip Landrigan, class of '59. William Chabel and Michael Conampasis, class of '57. Sydney Wolk, class of '53. And our honoree's classmate from 1952, and as I learned tonight, his college roommate, Stephen Grazer. Regarding this year's honoree, renowned oncologist Hal Burstein tweeted, "One of the titans of oncology." Think about that. Our graduate of the year has been a giant in his field in the fight to conquer cancer. George Canellos started his journey from humble beginnings. Latin School served as his springboard to Harvard College and Columbia University College of Physicians. Following residency and research stints at MGH and the Royal Postgraduate School of Medicine in London, in 1975, he found his home at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, where he served as the founding chair of medical oncology. Among his other professional distinctions were the presidency of the American Society of Clinical Oncology and the editorship of the Journal of Clinical Oncology. Acknowledging his lifetime of service to Dana-Farber and Harvard Medical School, and especially his role as mentor to hundreds of physicians now saving lives across the world, the Harvard Medical School established the Jean and George Canellos Professorship in Medicine for Dana-Farber's Chair of Medical Oncology. In nominating Canellos for this award, Dana-Farber physician Dan D'Angelo, a parent of 4 Latin School graduates, credited the honoree with major advances in the battle against 2 pervasive malignancies, large cell lymphoma and adjuvant breast cancer. The therapies he developed are now the standard of care for these diseases. D'Angelo concluded, "It is remarkable that he has improved the outcome of thousands of patients' lives in 2 previously incurable diseases." It is hard to imagine higher praise or a more significant record of achievement. A true son of the Latin School and a titan in the field of oncology, we are so honored to recognize Dr. George Canellos, class of '52, as the 2018 Boston Latin School graduate. Dr. Canellos, can you join us? Please join us. I'll read what's on the plaque. Thankfully, there's an English translation because the plaque is in Latin. It says, "The highest award of a Boston Latin School Association, proudly given to a most deserving son, Dr. George P. Canellos, 52, Distinguished Graduate of the Year." Oh, and then it's a whole entire bio that I've read already. Given today, November 17th, 2018, again, Dr. Canellos.
That was really something. I was going to ask her if she could say it in Latin, and that would be wonderful. And there are a generation of Latin school teachers that would really love it. But fellow graduates, families, and leadership of the Boston Latin School, both past and present, I am deeply honored by this award. The Boston Latin School has had many distinguished graduates over the years, like over 400 years. And I'm glad to be, I'm really honored to be included among them. The school, my time at the school was an interesting experience. It's probably the most memorable aspect of my academic career. I mean, you remember your classmates, you remember the days, you remember everything about it, more than I can remember college and medical school, anyway. We are recognizing today also the efforts of the BLSA in the Prima Perpetua Campaign, which is unique. And we should know unique. I don't think there's another public high school in this country that can raise that kind of money, or even has an organization that raises that kind of money as the BLSA, and I think they should be congratulated. We are all committed, I think, here in action and in spirit into maintaining the Boston Latin School's position in the academic world of the Boston area. I mean, the Latin School is really the beacon of higher education, higher high school education in this city, and we have to maintain it. Frankly, politicians, including Boston politicians, respond and are motivated by votes, whereas academics are motivated by the people that they train. And let's hope that that discrepancy doesn't complicate or impair the future of the Boston Latin School, in my opinion. When I began the Latin School, when I began the Latin School in 1946, we had just won the Second World War, but already the anxiety about creeping communism was beginning. And I can tell you, we all had to wear uniforms at certain times. We had military drills, and we marched with wooden replica rifles in a big parade in Boston, competing with, obviously, the other schools that were doing the same. And we were on a sort of a very primitive military footing at that time. Getting to the Boston Latin School, I had to change 4 times on the MTA to get here, and then 4 times on the MTA to go home. And it was a time that took a lot of time, and some of us tried to do homework on the T, but it really wasn't successful. And it was a time also that I think Boston English High School was a more formidable opponent, at least in the football world at the time. Although I'm told by Rachel that they've come up in the world, that they're a little more of a threat than they used to be. Well, maybe so. What can I say? Circumstances have changed, but my class at the Latin School was about half the size of the present senior class, but it was a good class. We did extremely well for the 1950s in getting into college. I think college acceptances were very good. It is said, and I've checked this with my classmate, Steve Grazer, who knows everything, that we had 200 in the class and 102 were accepted at Harvard College. That has not been repeated, I'm told, very recently anyway. But circumstances have changed, and the acceptance rate from Latin school to first-rate colleges is still very high, and I think to be admired. the rigors of the Latin school education. And the reason is that our students are super qualified. And they come with having experienced the rigors of the Latin school curriculum, but those rigors help them in college and make the college courses pass rather smoothly, I think. So they say. I've been fortunate in having classmates, and not so much classmates, but colleagues at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute who have kids at Latin school, and I keep up with the curriculum, if you will, the complexity and technology and the courses that are offered by the school are really something compared to my day. In my day, the curriculum was stiff, but it was heavily language-oriented, especially classical language. English, history, social studies were strong. They taught one course in chemistry and one course in physics, no biology. Speaking as a doctor, it was interesting. And you could ask, why did you bother to go to medical school? But anyway, I was not inspired by that, but it wasn't taught. Now it is, and I'm sure it's very sophisticated in its content. I have to say that at the Dana-Farber, we really enjoy being in the neighborhood of all of these scholarly institutions. I know the Harvard Medical School has this glass palace across the street, and they're still looking for somebody to name it after. The question is, and I know the dean very well, the question is, how much would it cost to have that building named? And I really don't know. The thing that really worries me is that the lack of strong leadership in Washington and the vagaries of political extremism in this country have sort of given the impression that we're a divided society. And that is regrettable. But I think that what this country needs, if it really is going to become, if society is going to move, it really needs a liberal, educated conscience to handle the ups and downs of the future. How do you achieve that? This conscience that we should have, how is it generated? Well, it's generated, the conscience would be enhanced by having an educated population around us. And I think the Latin school has been a pinnacle in doing that. And it's been doing that for over 400 years. But we need that very badly in this society, in my opinion. I've been fortunate in my professional life to have chosen a career in medical oncology. That is the study and treatment of malignant disease. I can tell you that when I was a medical resident at MGH, my colleagues thought I was mad picking this field. But the chairman of the Department of Medicine happened to be a patient under my care very transiently. And I remember his telling me very clearly, he said when he was in training years before, there was a terrible disease that they all groaned about when it came into the door, namely pernicious anemia. And it didn't take a long while before it was discovered that vitamin B12 could cure that disease. And it was a miserable disease without appropriate treatment. And he said that scientific progress is likely to be the same for the cancer field. And he was right in that opinion. I mean, history has showed him to be right. That in time, scientific progress, by both in clinical or basic research, has given us an understanding of the cancer cell far better than we had in the past, and still need for the future, and resulted in new treatments that have rendered certain diseases now readily, potentially curable. Some forms of leukemia, malignant lymphoma, are all potentially highly treatable and potentially curable. We didn't have that when I first started out in this field. And I think that's really a step in the right direction. And I want to reassure you that there's a great deal of basic science going on now that in the future will be done and will pay off for the patients of the future. They will be the beneficiaries. And it's coming. We also know now using the immune system of the patient to identify and attack cancer cells, and that's opening up a whole new field within the last 5 years. And that's a whole area that's going to add to our ability to successfully treat a malignant disease. More is coming, and I am absolutely confident and optimistic about the future. I think that old professor of mine was absolutely right. He had confidence in society's commitment to scientific progress. And the National Cancer Act helped enormously in the early 1970s. And a lot of money has been spent in research, and it's well spent. Scientific knowledge is vital to progress. And thus far, it's been my pleasure to work at the Dana-Farber. Prior to that, I was at the National Institutes of Health. And I worked on, at that time, combination chemotherapy, and we had some successes. Breast cancer, adjuvant breast cancer, malignant lymphomas, all those early days. But now we're getting much more sophisticated, and it's a pleasure for me to see the people I've trained now. We have at least about 12 cancer centers in this country headed by graduates of the Dana-Farber program. And they are doing great work, and these are places that are also doing great work. So I am optimistic for the future. What can I say? We have to be optimistic, because I've seen it. I would like to just add that it's been a real thrill to work in this field, to help the patients. There's nothing like making somebody better in the practice of medicine, especially when they come to you having probably been misinformed about the gravity of their illness. And there are times when patients will tell you, at least at the Farber, I'm feeling better for talking to you. And that, I tell the fellows that that's the art of medicine, making somebody feel better without actually doing anything. So I'm going to use up all my time, and Rachel's going to get unhappy. But it was indeed a profound honor to get this award. And more than that, I can't say. It was a profound honor. And I wish you all, and I thank you all, for listening. And I want to thank all of the, if they are in the audience, and I'm sure they are, donors for the Perpetua campaign. And in the future, I think that I wish you all success in preserving the mission of the Boston Latin School, more than 400 years. Thank you.
Dr. Canellos, thank you so much for joining us this evening, for sharing your thoughts, and most importantly, for your groundbreaking and life-saving work in oncology. It is now my pleasure to introduce a special presentation of spoken reflections, video, and music that will give you a glimpse into our student body. A quick note, while you will be hearing true testimonies this evening from current students and very recent graduates, the students on stage tonight have been invited to render those true stories and are not the young people who experienced the events firsthand. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this journey through Latin School.
Preemie.
We are.
One.
First.
We are.
More than one.
Sumus. Amplioris quam unus.
We are.
Many.
Sumus.
Plures.
We
are.
Kids from.
All backgrounds.
We are.
B.
L.
S.
We are.
Game changers.
Immigrants.
Creators.
Engaged citizens.
Believers.
Individuals.
Team
Players.
Artists.
Athletes.
Designers.
Leaders.
Together.
We
are. We are more than first.
More than one.
Boston Land School, to me, it's not just a school, it's more of a community.
A large group of diversified people who come together to represent a sum larger than their parts.
You can learn a lot from different people.
Different backgrounds, different families, different stories. We want to be the best. We want to show that we're very smart, that we take education seriously.
We're hardworking, but we all make time to do other things like sports. Some people have passions like music.
Other than us being a very rigorous school, we're also just one family in a way.
We all come as one to show what we are able to do and what we can become in the future.
You never really know what's going on with
2,400 students.
So many stories. Dreams.
Successes.
Fears.
Tick.
Where's the gym?
Talk.
Where's the bathroom?
Tick.
Where's room 421? I don't see a fourth floor.
Talk.
Where is the swimming pool?
So gullible.
Lame-o. Bruh.
My old school had 240 kids.
2,400 people here.
Not easy. Try making new friends.
Demanding teachers.
boatloads of homework.
On that first day, I realized
This BLS journey wasn't going to be a cakewalk.
the headmaster always used to say,
Look to your left.
Look to your right.
Only one of you will graduate.
Harsh.
The school is much more supportive now.
and still,
Hours of homework, tough standards,
Along with jobs.
Extracurriculars?
Family obligations?
you never really know what students might be going through. We are
Resilient.
It was my 8th birthday. I was hanging with my friends. When we heard,
boom, boom,
I started running.
boom, boom.
Boom, boom.
I stopped. I looked down at my left shoulder, blood on my favorite blue shirt. Each step slower. Needed to get home. Where was everyone? I saw stars. I've been shot. I collapsed. Suddenly I hear this really loud voice.
Where is my baby? Is he okay? Is he alive? Please tell me he's alive.
I look over and 3 neighbors are restraining my mom. Then the ambulance. At the hospital, all I can remember is pain. Then waking up. Beeps and wires all around me. 6 months of therapy. When I went back to 2nd grade, everyone was like,
Hey, you were the dude that got shot. Oh, he is.
yeah.
I can laugh about it now, but it's not something I'm proud of or ever talk about. It's just something that happened to me. I remember going to church with my grandmother. The pastor made me take off my shirt and show everyone.
That bullet entered in your back, hit 2 ribs, and exited through your left shoulder. The doctor said you were 1/4 of an inch up, right, left, down of dying. So boy, you better appreciate every second you have on this earth.
Born in London, raised in Boston. Not British, not American. I'm Italian. Every summer we go to Italy, I'm the American. In Boston, I'm the Italian. Hey, I worship Tom Brady, wear American clothes, listen to rock music, and I'm a staunch believer in the American dream. My father was the first in his family to leave the village and get a college degree. Many Americans don't realize you are much better off than the rest of the world.
Dancing has given deeper meaning to life. Joining the B-Boys freshman year helped me find a community.
Before every show, we say,
Ohana means family.
And family means no one gets left behind.
School is tough.
Practice brings me into a whole nother world.
My mother told me,
Always have the mindset of a champion. Be open to learning and do more than is required.
It isn't always easy being me. Watching Aladdin and facing history, I was the only one who felt comfortable talking about the stereotypes against Arabs. Were they scared to offend me? When we watched the video about 3 Arab and Muslim comedians making jokes about life after 9/11, more awkward. My laughter filled the deafening silence. The best jokes were about airport security. As someone who got stopped every time we came back from Jordan, what he said was hilariously real.
We do whatever it takes to make our goals a reality. We never stop working hard. Nothing really ever gets in our way, no matter what the challenges are.
The most important thing I've learned at BLS is to just keep trying. Everyone that passes through here has a chance to go on to do great things.
Being a scholar athlete here is definitely really challenging and a lot of work. I've learned to see the opportunity in the difficulty and to face obstacles in a new way.
Everyone has to work so hard to be able to succeed here. You wouldn't be able to get through it if you weren't motivated, if you weren't focused on doing your best.
Everybody here knows what everybody goes through. Everybody knows that this school is very difficult and everybody's kind of there for each other.
As a senior, I have grown so much. It has been such a great place to be able to learn. I've been surrounded by such motivated people who have allowed me to become the best version of myself.
Sumus Primi means together as a group we can persevere and achieve our goals.
Success is never guaranteed.
Labor omnia vincit.
Work conquers all.
At the beginning of 10th grade, my parents said I had to sign up for debate. Okay, I wanted to be a lawyer. But when I heard about Model UN, I signed up for that instead.
Unmoderated caucus, working papers, draft resolutions.
Decorum delegates!
Any points or motions on the floor?
I bombed my first conference. But at the next one, me and my partner won Best Delegates representing Malaysia on the Syrian Refugees Committee.
So much work.
It is, but what a way to study colonization of Mars, terrorism, internet security, migration, hate crimes, and xenophobia.
It's funny how the things we love can open doors. Playing the viola has changed my life. I have performed in beautiful halls in cities all across the world, like Vienna, Prague, London. In Buenos Aires, a group of 500 children surrounded us, handing us pens to sign autographs. I will never forget that moment. The excitement of those kids. I grew up in Heath Street government housing, and I know that opportunity makes all the difference.
With only 10 wins, we barely made the state tournament. We were matched against the defending champions first round, Lowell Catholic, the Crusaders.
Everyone expected us to get killed.
No one, I mean no one, thought we had a chance of winning.
Except for us.
When Nick got that penalty.
We thought it was over. No way we would hold him.
But we did. Somehow.
I was on the goal just before the winning goal. And guess what? The line. It was Nick, Owen, and Joe. It just seemed right.
In double overtime, Nick passed 3 Crusaders and buried the goal with 2 minutes and 37 seconds left on the clock. At first, we didn't know what had happened, and then everyone just went crazy.
That really was one of the best moments of my life, seeing the entire community just be so proud of our school. Last summer, I went on the trip to Morocco with the study group CIEE. Morocco is like nothing I'd ever experienced before. I mean, heck, I'd never even been out of the country before that. I remember the nerves heading to the airport. I mean, imagine 30 kids coming together to study, travel, and explore this exotic culture. We hiked the Atlas Mountains. We learned about the Berber people. We ate camel burgers.
Wait, camel burgers?
That doesn't sound good.
It sounds weird, I know, but trust me, it was just like eating a normal burger with a little bit of a sweet aftertaste. It was good. It was different. Everything in Morocco really was different. That's the word for it. I mean, the colors and sounds of the streets, the people, it really just let me look at my life with much more openness.
Hard work does not always end in the desired outcomes.
My fruit fly experiment failed. Well, my assumption was wrong. You know, I did a lot of tests, a lot of experiments, days in the lab for chemistry. And in the end, what do I get? Nothing. Failure. But you know what I learned? I learned that doing something and not giving up, doing something you love, that is the true mindset of a champion. And in the end, I'll never make that mistake again.
Oh, Grandma, my anger boils. I bite my tongue and pretend to look at my phone. My family wants me to stop powerlifting. My grandmother has traditional Chinese views about beauty. The ideal girl is skinny and fair-skinned.
Just do cardio. Go on treadmill. Why are you lifting weights?
I always listen patiently, but when I powerlift, all my worries melt away. I feel stronger both mentally and physically. For now, I have to balance my family's traditional image of me with my vision of the strong woman I want to become.
The college
interview question.
What would you say was your greatest achievement to date?
Well, I directed one of the best plays I'd ever read, The Laramie Project. It wasn't so much the play's incredible run, but more about being a part of a community that cared deeply about bringing attention to the hate and love surrounding the 1998 murder of Matthew Shepard, a college student killed for being gay. The Laramie Project made me realize why I spent more than 2,000 hours of my life in the black box. It highlighted the best parts of a passionate and unconditionally accepting community that had been my home for 6 years.
We are
trees.
Interconnected, intricately woven together like branches.
We build off of the roots of the previous generation.
Over Boston Latin School's almost 400-year history, tens of thousands of alumni have walked these halls. Many of us alums can look back fondly on our formative years, but
that doesn't mean we don't remember struggling.
I was slight of stature growing up. I was not a good athlete, and so my self-confidence needed to develop.
Latin school was very hard when I was here as a student.
I was in that seat. I remember how scary it is. I remember how hard it seems. The connections that we made helped us survive.
I was one of those folks at Latin school who, I think it's fair to say, desperately wanted to get out of here.
While the faces are different and the challenges new, we are part of one perpetual story, a story of overcoming all odds, recognizing our potential, and never losing our curiosity, ambition, or drive.
We were reluctant as students to speak our mind because in those days, if we challenged anybody, it was a ticket out. That's no longer the case.
As I look at the students today, I see a much higher level of self-confidence than certainly I had. I think that has to do with their experience at the school.
Students are pushed to work harder and harder every day in all aspects of their lives.
There's a sense there that academics are valued, and what you do in the school as a student is looked upon by your peers as a great achievement.
Looking at the names on the walls in the auditorium and thinking that you're part of history, it helps to motivate you that you have something that you have to stand for.
Instead of looking to your left and looking to your right, and two of you are going to flunk out, look to your left and look to your right and make sure all three of you finish.
We intend to set conditions where every student can feel comfort expressing all of who they are. The amount of potential that's contained in these walls is incredible.
It's doing the same thing that it did with my generation, taking kids off the streets of Boston and catapulting them into professional lives of remarkable talent.
A BLS education can truly change the trajectory of your life. We were first, we are first, and thanks to the unwavering support of the entire Latin school community, we will forever be first.
We are
free.
Sumus
Liberi.
Most of us started before we were teenagers.
We leave as young adults. There were so many times I just wanted to give up.
I finally get why it all matters.
You know, a couple months ago, I was riding the Orange Line, and I met this man who went to Latin school in the 1950s. I know, hard to imagine. He told me that his life had just gone by so fast ever since he graduated. And then it occurred to me. I mean, I met this guy, we clicked. That's the BLS connection. We're both a part of the same tradition. We share
The same history.
And are part of a
continuing story.
Nobody else is bowing. I bowed.
Every morning I greet students by saying, "Good morning, beautiful people," and I am just so excited that you had an opportunity to see how beautiful our young people are at BLS. I'd like to thank all the students whose stories were shared this evening, including 2 members of the class of 2018 who are in attendance tonight, Jana Ramadan and Brandon Guerrero. Can you both stand so we can recognize you? They're back there. A sincere thanks also go to our student readers. Can you imagine that at the same time that they were memorizing that, they were also doing homework and memorizing their real declamations? Our violinist, Dina, and our fearless director who had a vision, Susan Baer, class of '80. Assisted by BLS theater teacher and my former student, Joe Gills, class of '05.
Chuck Lau and I have been given the dubious distinction of trying to convince you all that the Capitol campaign may be over. Any comparison to the Marx Brothers or Laurel and Hardy in what we're about to do is not to be taken literally, figuratively, or any way at all. So, with that in mind, here we go. Good evening, everyone. Chuck, I think we have a job to do. I'm told it's up to us to turn these festivities into a campaign closing celebration.
Campaign? What campaign?
Well, Latin was never my strong suit, but let me give it a try. Prima Perpetua.
Ah, yes, that campaign. How'd we do?
Well, I heard we did okay. Nobody has given me a final tally yet, but I think there are some folks here to help us find out.
This looks like a moment for a drum roll. This looks like a moment for a drum roll. Mike, isn't it true you played percussion?
That was a long time ago, Chuck. Maybe Dina and her violin can help us out. Dina?
More?
As we turn these around, I think we're supposed to see how much has been raised. Now, it says here that Chuck and I are supposed to whoops. Hello? I'm here. Who's this? Peter Kelly. Do you know a Peter Kelly? Chuck? Huh?
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him?
Never heard of him.
Well, there was a Kelly, I think, that was in the class of what, 83? Could be. But I think he has a message. Do you have a message, Peter? The number is all wrong.
Oh, my.
You got a whole bunch of people up here holding up a placard getting tired. Sid Woke is not a young man anymore. He's holding this thing up. What is the problem, Peter?
Well, we seem to have gotten a late gift from the table number 10.
We have a late gift from table number 10. The lights are so bright I can't see in front of me, much less table number 10. Can you be more specific? A fellow by the name of Mike Kerr from the class of 7. I remember him. He had an older brother, Kevin, as well. And you know what? They came from South Boston, if I remember. And both of them ended up at Harvard College, which was a hell of a culture shock coming from South Boston. Now, what did Kevin do? Or what did Michael do? He made a $250,000 gift. Michael, I can't see you, but would you please stand up? Now, I want you to know that Kevin went back to South Boston and continues to practice law there. Michael, on the other hand, went to Hollywood and became a successful financier. So, Peter, what is the new tally? Peter just told me he's no good in math. Is his contract up pretty soon or what? Well, it seems to me that since we're at this figure and we add 250, it means we are over $54 million raised. And I want to personally thank Michael for doing this. You saw the young people from the school. This effort has been one that will continue to give them the opportunities that we all had. And so we, Chuck, myself, Mike Levin, who couldn't be here, who served with Chuck as co-chair, want to thank you all. We started this campaign with Lynn, I think in 2011, when we decided to do a case study.
Went live in 13.
Yeah, went live in 2013, and in this short period of time, we have raised over $54 million. And as Dr. Canellos mentioned, there isn't a public school in the country that can do that. And that's a tribute to all of us because we've recognized what this school has meant to all of us. And we've got to continue not only to nurture it, to protect it, and to be vigilant because the kids that you saw this evening desperately need what we all have benefited from. So we want to thank you. Chuck?
Thanks, Mike. You know, the whole Prima Perpetua effort really started back in 2011 with a with a 2-year strategic planning session that Lynn Mooney-Tata and Mike really spearheaded. And we can think of tonight we're thinking of wrapping up a campaign, but I think in a real sense it's a launch, because so many of the programs that have been started over the last several years, whether it's Global Understanding, some of the sports programs, some of the arts programs, we can really start to build on them now. And that's because of your tremendous generosity. But I just wanted to say one more thing. You know, the entire effort really began when Lynn was the headmaster, and Boston Latin benefited tremendously from her commitment, dedication, and consummate skill. Benefit. And we benefited more than we could ever enumerate here, but the extraordinary success of this campaign goes a long way. So no one could be more deserving of the admiration of everyone in this room tonight. I also want to thank my co-chair who can't be here, Mike Levin, and all of those folks who every third or fourth Friday morning would come up to the top floor of One Post Office Square and try to figure out how to get as much money out of your pockets as we possibly could. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Well, lest you think that we're done, we're going to take the Thanksgiving week off, and the next campaign is going to begin shortly thereafter. So stay tuned. Seriously, thank you all for making certain that the young people that are currently there and those that will come after them have the same opportunities that we had. I'd like to turn it back to Rachel.
It's good to know that we'll have Mr. Clow and Mr. C with us for a long time, because they have no chance on the road. I am so humbled by the opportunity to work in a community so dedicated to continuing the legacy of excellence that is BLS. I am truly grateful to you, Mr. C, and to you, Chuck, and to all who have worked so hard over the last 6 years to ensure Boston Latin School remains Prima Perpetua. So I forgot my glass, but please join me in lifting yours to Alma Mater and to the very bright future made possible by this very generous community. Cheers. Before you enjoy dessert, please join me in welcoming the remarkable Perrin Price, class of 2019, to the stage.
When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home, I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. Wind that makes the tall trees bend into leaning. Suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning, sprinkling the sea makes it all clear. Maybe there's a chance for me to go back now that I have some direction. It would sure be nice to be back home where there's love and affection. And then just maybe I can convince time to slow up, giving me enough time in my life to grow up. Time be my friend let me start again. Suddenly my world has gone and changed its face, but I still know where I'm going. I have had my mind spun around in space, yet I've watched it growing. Oh, if you're listening, God, please don't make it hard to know if we should believe in the things that we see. Tell us, should we try and stay, or should we run away? Or would it be better just to let things be? Living here in this brand new world might be a fantasy, oh, but it taught me to love. So it's real, real, real to me, and I've learned that we must look inside our hearts to find, yeah, a world full of love, like yours, like mine, like
Thank you. Woo. Woo. Thank you, Perrin. I think your YouTube channel might have a few more followers after tonight. For so many of us here this evening, Boston Latin School has served as a second home, a place where we've often spent more hours than at our real houses. And it truly is a place with love overflowing. And while that love may have been tough love, it has always been there. The Latin School has consistently displayed a love of learning, love of hard work, love of tradition, love of the special community to which we all belong. And we embrace a commitment to demonstrating a love of reflection, of growth, of innovation, of drive to remain first while remaining relevant and responsive. The doors of Latin School remain open to all of you, and we invite you back home to visit if you haven't been in a while. In the meantime, we invite you to visit the dessert buffets in the back and stay to enjoy the party. The bar is open until 11. Have a great night.